My name is Sophie Harrison, and at 28, I never thought I'd be fighting for my life because of my stepbrother's cruel joke. I was born with a congenital heart condition that requires daily medication, something my stepbrother Marcus never understood or accepted. "You're just addicted to those pills," he'd say at family dinners, rolling his eyes whenever I took my medication. "It's all in your head. You're perfectly healthy." Marcus came into my life when I was 12, after my dad married his mother, Linda. While Linda tried to understand my medical needs, Marcus seemed to take my condition as a personal offense. Maybe it was because our parents' attention often focused on my health, or perhaps he just couldn't comprehend something he couldn't see. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I reached for my heart medication in the kitchen cabinet, the same routine I'd followed for years. But something felt off. The pills looked slightly different, a bit more glossy than usual. "Looking for these?" Marcus's voice came from behind me. He was holding my actual medication bottle, a smirk playing on his face. "What did you do?" I asked, my heart already racing, a dangerous situation for someone with my condition. "Relax," he said, tossing the bottle in the air and catching it. "I just switched them with some vitamins. You need to learn you're not actually sick. You're just dramatic." I felt my knees weaken. "Marcus, this isn't a joke. I need those pills. They keep my heart functioning properly." He rolled his eyes, that familiar look of contempt crossing his face. "You've been playing this sick card for years, getting everyone's attention, making dad and mom spend thousands on medication. Time to grow up, Sophie. Where are my real pills?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. "Somewhere safe," he grinned. "Don't worry, a few days without them won't kill you. Maybe it'll even prove my point." I grabbed my phone, ready to call our parents, but Marcus just laughed. "They're on their second honeymoon in Hawaii, remember? Go ahead, call them. By the time they get back, you'll have realized you never needed these pills in the first place." The next 3 days were a nightmare. I tried everything, calling my doctor, who was at a conference, searching the house, even threatening to call the police. But Marcus had hidden my medication well, and without proof that he'd taken them, it would be my word against his. By the third day, my body was showing signs of distress. My heart was racing, I was having difficulty breathing, and my vision was becoming blurry. Still, Marcus insisted I was faking it. "See? You're fine," he said that morning, watching me struggle to make coffee. "Just some withdrawal symptoms from your addiction." I never made it to work that day. As I was getting into my car, everything went black. The last thing I remember was the sound of my neighbor screaming as I collapsed in the driveway. I woke up in the intensive care unit, the steady beep of heart monitors surrounding me. A nurse was checking my vital signs, her face serious as she reviewed the numbers. "Ms. Harrison," she said, noticing I was awake, "we need to talk about your blood work." The look in her eyes told me this was more than just my known heart condition. She held up a chart, her expression grim. "We found something concerning in your system. These aren't just missing heart medications. There are traces of substances that could have killed you. Whoever tampered with your medication didn't just remove your heart pills. They replaced them with something potentially lethal." My mind raced back to Marcus's smug face as he tossed my pill bottle in the air. What exactly had he given me? And more importantly, had he known just how dangerous his joke would be? The nurse was already calling the doctor, but I could barely focus on their conversation. All I could think about was Marcus's words. "A few days without them won't kill you." But he had been wrong. So terribly wrong. The hospital room felt smaller when my parents rushed in, their Hawaiian vacation cut short by the emergency. My dad's face was ashen, and Linda, my stepmom, couldn't stop crying. Marcus stood in the doorway, his usual smugness replaced by something I'd never seen before: fear. "The toxicology report confirms it," Dr. Stevens explained, her voice firm as she addressed my family. "Sophie's blood work shows traces of beta blockers mixed with the vitamin supplements. For someone with her heart condition, this combination could have been fatal." "Beta blockers?" My dad's voice cracked. "But how?" "That's what we found in the capsules remaining in her pill bottle," the doctor continued, holding up a plastic evidence bag containing my medication container. "Someone deliberately tampered with her prescription." All eyes turned to Marcus. He'd gone pale, his hands shaking as he gripped the doorframe. "I did it. I just put vitamins in there," he stammered. "I got them from my gym buddy. He said they were natural supplements." Linda's sob cut through the room. "Marcus, what have you done?" "The police arrived shortly after. Detective Sarah Morgan sat beside my hospital bed, her notebook open as I recounted everything. Years of Marcus's dismissal of my condition, his taunts, and finally, the medication switch. Your stepbrother claims he was trying to help you, Detective Morgan said, her tone skeptical. Says he got the supplements from a friend at his gym, thought they were natural vitamins. He wanted to prove I was faking, I replied, my voice hoarse. He never believed I actually needed medication. The detective nodded, writing something down. We're investigating his gym contact. Illegal supplements are a serious matter, and combined with deliberately withholding prescribed medication. She didn't need to finish the sentence. I could see the gravity of the situation in her eyes. Outside my room, I could hear Marcus arguing with our parents. I didn't mean to hurt her. How was I supposed to know those pills were dangerous? Jake at the gym said they were just vitamins. You had no right. My father's voice thundered. No right to touch her medication, to play doctor, to decide what she does or doesn't need. Linda's voice joined in, unusually stern. Do you understand you could have killed your stepsister? Does that mean anything to you? The hospital kept me for observation for another week. During that time, the full scope of what Marcus had done became clear. His friend Jake from the gym was arrested for selling unlicensed supplements, pills that contained various unauthorized substances, including the beta blockers that had nearly stopped my heart. Marcus was charged with criminal negligence and tampering with prescription medication. His defense that he didn't know the supplements were dangerous didn't hold up, especially since he'd admitted to deliberately hiding my prescribed medication. One evening, as I was preparing to be discharged, Linda came to see me alone. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. I failed you, Sophie, she said, taking my hand. I saw how Marcus treated you, how he dismissed your condition. I should have stopped it years ago. Maybe if I had. It's not your fault, I assured her, though part of me had always wondered why she never firmly addressed his behavior. He's my son, and I love him, she continued, wiping her eyes. But what he did was unforgivable. He needs to face the consequences of his actions. I squeezed her hand, seeing the pain of a mother torn between her children. I never wanted this to happen, I said softly. I just wanted him to understand. Understanding might come too late, she replied, but it will come. As I packed my things to leave the hospital, I found a letter Marcus had left with one of the nurses. His handwriting was messy, unlike his usually perfect penmanship. Sophie, I know sorry isn't enough. I was stupid and arrogant. I thought I knew better than doctors, better than you. I thought I was teaching you a lesson, but I'm the one who learned something. I learned that my pride and ignorance could have killed my stepsister. I'll never forgive myself for that. Marcus. The letter felt heavy in my hands, weighted with years of rivalry, dismissal, and finally, regret. But as Dr. Stevens had said, some damage can't be undone with just an apology. 6 months after the incident, I sat in the courthouse, watching Marcus stand before the judge. He looked different, thinner, subdued, the cockiness that had defined him completely gone. Our parents sat behind me, Linda quietly crying while my father held her hand. Mr. Harrison, the judge addressed Marcus, her voice stern. Your actions showed a disturbing disregard for human life. While you claim ignorance about the dangerous supplements, you deliberately withheld life-saving medication from your stepsister. Marcus nodded, his shoulders slumped. The judge continued, however, considering your clean prior record and your guilty plea, I'm sentencing you to 18 months in prison, followed by 3 years of probation. You'll also be required to complete 500 hours of community service at the cardiac ward of County Hospital. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Marcus would be spending his community service hours helping patients with the very conditions he'd once dismissed. After the sentencing, before the officers led him away, Marcus asked to speak to me. Our parents waited anxiously as we talked under the supervision of his lawyer. I've been taking classes, he said, his voice quiet, learning about cardiac conditions, about what you deal with every day. I never understood. I was so convinced I knew better. He paused, swallowing hard. The doctors at the hospital showed me what could have happened if they hadn't found me in time. I saw the simulations. Stop. I interrupted. I don't need you to describe how you could have, Kimi. I lived it. He flinched but nodded. I know no amount of apologies can fix this, but I want you to know I'll spend every day trying to make amends. As the officers led him away, Linda broke down completely. My father held her as she sobbed. Both my children. I've lost both my children. No, I said firmly, surprising myself. You haven't lost me, and Marcus, maybe he needed to lose himself to find something better. The next year brought changes none of us had expected. I started speaking at medical conferences about patient advocacy and the dangers of medication interference. My story resonated with others who'd had their conditions dismissed or minimized by family members. Linda threw herself into support groups for families dealing with chronic health conditions, learning everything she could about my heart condition and helping other parents understand their children's medical needs. Marcus wrote to me from prison, not asking for forgiveness, but sharing what he was learning. He joined a prison education program focusing on healthcare ethics. His letters showed glimpses of someone I'd never known, someone who was finally willing to listen and learn. Today, I met an inmate with the same heart condition as you. One letter read. He explained what it feels like, the daily challenges, the constant awareness of your own heartbeat. I sat there thinking about all the times I called you dramatic or attention-seeking. I wish I could take back every word. On the anniversary of my collapse, I received an unexpected call from the cardiac ward where Marcus now served his community service hours. Dr. Stevens, who had treated me during my emergency, was supervising his service. Your stepbrother told his story to our young patients today, she said, about how his ignorance and arrogance almost cost his stepsister's life. One of our teenage patients finally agreed to stay on his medication after hearing Marcus speak. Sometimes the most powerful advocates are reformed skeptics. I hung up the phone and looked at the latest family photo on my wall, taken at Christmas, with an empty space where Marcus should have been. His actions had shattered our family's trust, but somehow, from those broken pieces, something new was emerging. Linda and my dad started a foundation focusing on family education about chronic health conditions. They named me as the director, turning our family's tragedy into a mission to prevent others from making the same mistakes. Your brother's joke almost ended your life, my dad said during the foundation's first meeting, but it also started something important. Sometimes it takes nearly losing everything to understand what matters. As I organize our first awareness campaign, I keep Marcus's letter on my desk as a reminder. Not of the brother who almost killed me, but of how ignorance and dismissal can be as dangerous as any illness. Our foundation's motto, printed on every brochure, reads, "Understanding is the best medicine." Marcus will serve his time, and our relationship may never fully heal, but his joke did teach us all something, just not the lesson he'd intended. It taught us that health isn't a matter of opinion, that love without respect can be dangerous, and that sometimes the hardest lessons leave the most lasting change.